Am I the asshole for writing my son out of my will? My wife and I have a son, John, who recently told us that he is asking his girlfriend, Cease, to marry him. We've met Cease a few times before and she seems like a nice girl, but we have concerns about Cease's family. My wife and I own a few rental properties and John stay in one of the properties rent-free as he is still in grad school, and free housing is something my wife and I've always agreed to provide it for all our kids, especially while they are in school so that they don't have to worry about rent in a high cost of living area. The concern with Cease's family comes from having met the family a couple times before they seems inappropriately interested in my wife and I's finances, and Cease's mother, from what I've heard from my other kids and a little from John, is close to retirement, has no savings or plans set up for retirement. Her mother has multiple times attempted to move in and live rent-free in one of my properties because, according to her, it is her future son-in-law's house. My take is that Cease's mother sees John, who is about to graduate from med school, as their retirement security. John's my oldest and I've signed a will where he gets a large amount of cash plus the property that Cease's mother was trying to move into. I'm not sure if the mother knows that and that's why she was trying to move in, but John does know about what he is inheriting. My biggest fear is that somehow that family will end up with a piece of the house for whatever reason once I pass. John has a pure heart and always sees the good in people, and I think his future mother-in-law will take advantage of that. When John told me he is getting married to Cease, I requested he signs a prenup to protect his inheritance, and also prenups are advisable in general, but he was vehemently against it. I told him that he will be written out of the will and the house will go to our other kids if he marries her without a prenup, but seems like he is not budging, so I've gone ahead and started plans to leave the house to my other kid. I think I have good reasons to not trust Cease's family and their intentions with my son. I'm not going to tell a grown man who he can and can't marry, but I want to protect what I am leaving for my children. My son has stopped talking to me and I'm not sure if I was that unreasonable. Update: a few things to add because my concerns about Cease's family are not coming out of nowhere. We are mostly concerned about the house. My son will still be receiving the huge chunk of cash on the will. He will be getting something, just not the house. Sorry, should have made that more clearer. When my wife and I met Cease's mother, she's made multiple comments about how her future son-in-law has her retirement taken care of, and she has asked us multiple times if she could move into the house to the point where it was getting inappropriate. Why don't you put it in a trust so that it cannot be used as community property in event of divorce? Cease's family will move in with John and his wife as soon as they are married. Another option would be to put the money or portion of it and house into a trust that he cannot access until he is 45 or some age you deem appropriate. Not the asshole, you could do a trust and have a trustee continue to exercise control after your death, or even in your will have a prenup clause. My father did that, where anyone who wants to inherit must have a prenup. Not the asshole. Leave your son in your will but place all of his inheritance in a trust. Not the asshole. Trust your gut. Why should you have outsiders come in and take what you worked for? Maybe you want to leave your son a bit of cash but nothing major that the in-laws could benefit from. It would be interesting to see how things would turn out if the GF's family knew that your son was getting nothing and would not be funding their retirement, etc. Put everything into a trust to go from John to his children. Spouse doesn't have access. Cease's mother is definitely a gold digger, but is Cease? A trust is one idea, another is the trial balloon of letting Cease's mom find out you have massive debts and there will be no inheritance. Not the asshole. Your son is young and cannot see the red flags. It is your property and you can do what you want with it. Better get an estate attorney to help you with options. NaH, but doing this will likely affect your relationship with your son for the rest of your life. Isn't there a compromise? You should speak to an attorney about a trust and stipulations with that trust around MIL. Not the asshole. It should all be in a revocable trust. Him as the sole trustee. You can even put covenants on the properties if you want. You are not the asshole for being concerned about this, but you are going about it all wrong. You need to do some proper estate planning with a good lawyer to ensure your son isn't taken advantage of by what seems to be a very opportunistic set of in-laws, but without punishing him in the process. As it is, you are hurting him by the way you are going about this. You can place the property in trust and let him live in it rent-free on the condition that the only inhabitants are him, his wife and kids. Or something similar. Not the asshole. Your son is being extremely naive. Cease may be a lovely person, but her family, not so much. When your son is in financial crisis from her family sponging off him, he's going to wish he listened to you. Sounds like a big part of the problem here is that your son has gone around telling people about his inheritance. Not the asshole. Look into a family trust. Ensures more equitable distribution. Writing a kid out is your will is likely to be challenged and they may get more. Other option is to leave him a small amount, to show that you've thought about it. And add a letter explaining your decision to go alongside the will. Not the asshole. This is your money and no one can claim it, not even your kids. What I am hearing you say is that you don't trust him to handle that pressure of those gold diggers and they will take him for everything he has got. In that case, then your other children might as well get his part. Not the asshole. You gave him sound financial advice with a bit of an ultimatum, so he's aware of the consequences of his actions, and as you said, he's not budging. And that's okay. You made your decision, he made his. It's all good. Is it an American thing to be so concerned about property that you're willing to destroy your relationships with your children? The replies seem to suggest you are definitely not alone. By all means look into a trust, but the most important thing should be to keep the love and respect of your kids, not what happens to one of your houses after you've snuffed it. Not the asshole. You should trust your gut. However, I believe you need to consult an estate attorney with your concerns and have them help you handle your finances and property appropriately so as to protect all your children. Your son sounds like a good man, just needs someone to look out for his best interests. Perhaps set up all your kids with a wealth manager on top of getting the estate attorney. Wise people have other smart people they consult in areas they are experts in. This MIL sounds like a piece of work. He doesn't want a prenup, which is perfectly fine with his money. He should understand he is not entitled to what you have, and while his financial are not your concern, it should be the same for your finances. If you have to ask strangers, it's obvious you have reservations about changing the will regarding your son. That being said, if you don't want to create lasting problems between you and John and you want to contribute a portion of your holdings that will not benefit your daughter-in-law's family, arrange a legal trust that is for his future children. His MD degree should provide adequate income for his wife, him and their immediate family. You cannot control how he handles his future income regardless of your feelings, thoughts about the in-laws. I would like to make a suggestion that you put all your properties and money into trusts and have that money slowly released to your children. As for the houses, I would allow them to live in them and rent the houses at 50 market rate and put that money into the trust also to be filled out back to them eventually. Make this a business, not family. If the house sits empty for more than a couple years, it's to be put on the market and sold. Set up a trust for all. Treat all of your children equally or they will resent each other. Not the asshole. It is always a good idea to have a prenup, even if each party doesn't have much to offer at that moment. That doesn't mean that they won't in the future. My family has something similar happening, but it's my brother's GF who is constantly talking about when she owns the businesses and how when she owns the house. She's not even close to being engaged to my brother, and she's already looking forward to my father's death so that she can get her grubby paws on our investments. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. No prenup, no inheritance. His choice. Put it all in someone else's name who will allow your son access, or in a trust as everyone else stated. Wills and trusts aside, the immediate concern is to have a lease drawn up for son and fiancé to sign. His circumstances are changing with him becoming a husband and he should start paying rent. If he can marry, he can man up and pull his weight. Granted, it can be reasonable that the son and fiancé are the only named leases. That cuts off the future mill from moving in, or you can boot her out if she overstays her welcome. Honestly, it's not your problem, you'll be dead. By the sound of it, so will your son's MIL, just make sure you outlive her and this all becomes moot. Also sounds like you have properties to spare. Rich people problems. If you need a neutral solution, I'll take the fucking house.